What's going on, y'all? So listen. What's going on, y'all? Girl, it's okay. Listen, somebody had hit me up like a couple of days ago asking was I finna do the shop. Baby, I had literally just got home. Y'all gotta be I told y'all what the schedule was for this week. But excuse me. Anyway. We back, and honestly, I do apologize for this being late because I was trying to get everything out yesterday, but that just didn't happen, and y'all know my heart, y'all know what was going on, but this is The Shy, season 7, and baby, this was a tough episode. For the season to come back on such a heavy note, which we kind of knew that it was going to do in the first place, they instantly picked up where it left off last season. Last season ended with Rob getting dropped off on Alicia's porch. Her front door, his body being dropped off there, and her finding out. So this picks up right where they left off. She winds up going to Nuck's house. Girl, how she found out where Nuck stay at, that's how you do when you in the streets. She found out where he stood, was at. That man is sleeping in the bed, baby. Let me tell you something. I don't trust people that sleep on their back like that. Woo! I don't trust people that can sleep so comfortably on their back like that without a care in the world, okay? But no, she had that, she had a little gun on her, and she said, "Wake up, nigga," okay? And he was able to wake up real quick. Now, let me tell you something. It's going to take me a minute. Because 9 and 10, you would have said it like that. I still wouldn't have heard you. Because I would have been deep sleep. Okay? But Nuck woke up and basically she was like, "Did you kill my son?" And he said, "Absolutely not." And I said, "Damn, he lied so good." I said, "Alicia, street niggas, he worked with Duda. Don't believe him. He took him out. So, of course he could have took your son out. It's a possibility. Put him on the back burner or whatever. Put him on the list for real, for real." But, he did all this whole, why would I do that? It wasn't me. It was Zay. He want to be in the king of this stuff or whatever. He don't want to, fall in line or whatever. And all of that stuff. And, she was like, "Well, if Zay was such a bad person, if Zay was doing all this, how come you had him working with you all this time or whatever?" And he said, "I don't want to work with him no more." Mind you, Zay is his cousin. Like blood cousin. Not cousin by marriage, cousin by blood, okay? And so that just goes to show, like, there really is no loyalty in the streets, But at the same time, I can't really feel bad for Zay because Zay came on, was it last season or whatever? And we already saw the tension that was building between Zay and Nuck. Zay came in. He show and proved himself to Duda. Duda took a liking to him without saying that he took a liking to him because all of a sudden he was doing everything that Nuck was doing, right? Nuck was probably Duda's right-hand man at the time. But then you got Zay coming in and he's just, getting all the stuff or whatever. Nuck feeling a little type of way. So at this point in time, they got issues. They got beef because of that. The jealousy and how you just come in and you taking the spot like that or whatever. It was given that type of feel. So now that Zay is under control for Nuck, he don't want that. Okay? And so at this point, Nuck don't want him around either because it's like, it's get back, bitch. I'm not really feeling you at this point. I don't need you. I already see that you're going to cause a problem. And you've been causing a problem for me ever since you came into this organization. Baby, people are so cold-hearted. Now, let me tell you something. I don't like certain people, my family members, but do I ever want to reach them dead like that or set them up like that? Absolutely not. I said, damn. Because what wound up happening is, like I said, he told Alicia that it was Zay that did it, right? Zay is in his car, talking to Kenya about the whole situation, feeling like something's going on because he feel like Nuck is pushing him back and pushing him away or whatever. Kenya said, "You need to just watch your back." I don't need to watch my back, whatever. That's my cousin. We family. Ain't nothing gonna happen and all this stuff. Woo, woo, woo. Kenya was trying to, calm him down a little bit. Mind you, earlier he did talk to Nuck and was like, I don't want to work under you. I want to work with you. Like, I want to be a partner. Nuck said, I'm not looking for a partner. You got to fall in line like everybody else. And he feels some type of way too at this point because he feels like he's being pushed away for Bari. You know, Bari last season was going to get out the game. But see, Nuck was like, I need you, bro. We like family. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, you're not even treating your real family like family, okay? So that felt some type of way to Zay. And then for him to still be like, no, you got to work under me. I ain't looking for no partners or nothing like that. You not finna be my second in command or nothing. And it just jealousy. And so therefore, Kenya said, watch out. But of course, he thinking that, you know, regardless of the issues that we got, it ain't gonna, you know, family over everything, right? Absolutely the fuck not. You got Rashad, who was talking to Alicia after Alicia had told him who Nuck said it was, and he was like, you believe that nigga? That nigga lying. And I said, listen to him, Alicia. He know the streets. He been out here for a minute, okay? He know these people, all right? But at the same time, she's just in her world of hurt right now. She's grieving. Like, she literally has not had a time to just stop and breathe. And this is how I know it's continuing from that night, or either that night or the next day or whatever, because Tiffany didn't even know about the chat. So at this point, Alicia told Rashad, go ahead and find Zay. He had to go over there, and he met up with Bari and, you know, got the information out about where he could possibly be at. And, you know, Bari didn't really want to do nothing about that. He didn't want to get involved. He don't know what it is, but he just didn't want to get involved. Rashad said, baby, you owe me this, okay? Remember when I hid them guns for you? Baby, you owe me this shit, okay? And once we do this, we'll be even, right? And so at this point, I feel like Bari was starting to put two and two together. Now, I really wish that Bari would have just went on ahead and said no and went back with Lene. But now you getting caught up in this stuff, and I get it. Nuck said he ain't got a problem with you doing the book and everything that he want to do in his life, but you 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You got both. You got 1 foot in this world, 1 foot in another world, and it's real crazy the way that is. And I'm like, this is not gonna work. You trying to do this book, whatever, about your life, and I get it. Nuck trusts you enough to just, you know, change the names of the stories and just talk about yourself and all that stuff and not put us in jeopardy. But yeah, you going to your professor and you saying that you need to get out the streets and you need somewhere to go, okay? And you got the professor going to his wife, who was the judge who got Trig off, who was working with Alicia, to get him to convince his wife to talk to Alicia to give him a scholarship so that he could stay on campus, because Bari has nothing. Bari don't have a GED. He don't have a degree, a diploma. He don't have anything. He dropped out of high school. And so now they're trying to pull some strings. So basically, Miss Girl went over there to talk to Alicia and said, I understand you going through what you're going through. You know, I don't want to be, you know, the murder stuff or whatever, but at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. But I don't want to hit you up, you know what I'm saying, because I know that you're going through some things. You just lost your son and all that. And she said, girl, what the hell you want? Well, it's not really a favor for me. It's a favor for my husband. He needs a scholarship for a young man that's trying to get up out the streets and all of this or whatever. So she was like, send him to me. Because she said, how can I help this young man when I couldn't even help my own son? Okay? Because at the end of the day, my son felt like he was the black sheep of the family. Literally, when Rob first came on and started telling us about his family and his life or whatever, he literally said he was the black sheep because he didn't want to do what the family did. And now that we found out what the family did, both sides, daddy and mama, was a little crick. Okay? They was crooked as hell. In the streets and all this stuff, whatever, and he ain't want to do that. He just wanted to smoke his marijuana, you know, make his money off of that, and be low key and dress fresh and get a nice gal. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? He was like that, but she wanted him to be like her, and you know, it sucks when it comes to the realization that you could have did better. You know, you could have did better, and she's realizing that. And then her friend was basically like, if you take Bakari in and give him a chance and talk to him, this could be like your chance to do over. You know, you helping somebody else get on the right path or whatever. Well, I was like, girl, really? Alicia said, all right, send him over. So Bakari come over there, and basically she was like, tell me your story. Since you up here want to get the scholarship, you want to write a story, tell me your story. Why should you get it? It was like, I'm trying to get the hell up out the streets, okay? I done been through some things. And she said, and he was like, I did some things I'm not proud of, or whatever. She was like, what you do? I was like, you gonna have to speak. You want to sell me on try to give you the scholarship or whatever, you gonna have to speak. Well, I killed somebody, okay? I don't feel good about it. You know, but I had to do it because they hurt somebody I love. They took out somebody that I love. So therefore I had to take their ass out too. And she was like, well, I mean, that's justified. He was like, what? That's justified? And I was like, yeah, that's justified. So, okay. That's justified. And he was like, oh, bitch. Okay. And she said, if I give you this scholarship, that means you owe me everything. Basically, and I'm pretty sure he reading between the lines because he kind of smiled, or he kind of either he reading between the line and can see that, you know, Alicia is about that life and what she's about, or he really think that this is a good opportunity with the scholarship and he's going to get out the streets and all that stuff. Not and if it's the latter, baby, you basically is under her beck and call now. You about to work for Alicia, okay? Alicia is the queen of the streets right now. That's just really what it is. And so later the professor tells him that he got the scholarship. Alicia must have took a real taking to him because she said, yeah, you got the scholarship and this is all to the good. Mind you, he had asked him, do you know what happened to Duda? He said, listen, I don't know nothing about that. I mean, he gone, but I ain't gonna say nothing, okay? I can't tell you much, you know? Because remember, his professor and Duda were friends at one point, okay? Everybody was connected, you know? So you got that going on in that whole storyline. Next thing you know, Rashad had found Zay. Well, before that, Zay was meeting up with, or no. Jacob came over there to go meet with Zay, trying to give him back that money that he dropped off at his place last season to, you know, basically trying to quote unquote invest in him to get him to work for him or whatever so that he got to pay him back and invest in his company and all that shit. Okay, because, you know, money laundering and all that, whatever. And so at this point, girl, what's this? Got a piece of hair in my mouth. So at that point, he was trying to get that money back. And Zay was like, nah, nigga. And he went and put the gun in his face. And Jacob said, you putting the gun in my face as if this the first time. Okay, you think that's supposed to scare me? Absolutely not. Okay, that's not what this is, all right? And he was like, why don't you put that gun down and you square up? I was like, what? Jake? Okay, you know, you do what you gotta do. Square up, nigga, square up. Okay, yeah. Everybody can pick up a gun, but can you fight? Now, Jacob, boo-boo, it is something about people that try to egg on a fight and they can't even fight themselves. Like, you told that man, which I applaud you because you ain't had no weapon on you. You said be a man and use your fist. And he did that. He did that because he fucked Jacob up. You know, he hit him a couple of times, punched him in the face and all that shit or whatever, busted his lip, messed up his eye, and, you know, drove off. Okay, of course Victor sees this and he's pissed off, and you know, Jacob was trying to tell him, listen, I ain't got nothing to do with him no more. I gave the money back because I was scared. I ain't need it, and it is what it is. You ain't got to touch nothing. You ain't got to say nothing. You ain't got to do nothing. Of course Victor want to be the big brother and superhero, and so he had to go down there to Zay at the garage, and he roughed his ass up, knocked him out a little bit, put the gun at him and said, don't fucking touch my brother. Don't do nothing to my brother. He was like, fuck it, your brother dead to me anyway. I said, you know what? You about to be dead to the bed too. Okay, so there's that. And sure enough, girl, next time we see Zay in the chair in the warehouse, strapped up with Bianca over there, Rashad over there, Alicia right in front of him, and she like, so why you kill my son? Why you kill my son? I didn't kill your son. I didn't do it. You know, and next thing you know, I think he was about to say something, but before he could even say anything, Alicia got fucked up. She was tagged. Okay, the pain that she was feeling just said, fuck this shit. Pop, 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 pop. I said, goddamn. Zay was like this. I said, oh shit. I'm so sorry. He had froze like this. I said, damn. Right in the body, in the middle center mass, of the chest and everything. Not got him out. Rashad was hollering at her like he was about to say something. I was like, I don't give a fuck at this point. It don't matter. It don't matter because he's gone. And then Bianca had the nerves to be like, listen, girl. It was cute working with you for a minute. You know what I'm saying? That idea about taking over the city and all that shit, women rule the world. Okay, girls rule, Who run the world? Girls. Okay, that was cute. But after seeing what I just saw, it keeps replaying in my mind, and I just ain't really down for it. So basically, I'm going to have to leave. You can play around with the bar and all that stuff. She said, girl, I don't know nothing about this bar. She said, baby, you going to have to figure it out because I ain't here for it no more. I said, ooh. Oh, I said, Bianca, you really think Alicia gonna let you get away with that? After what you saw, like, girl, you could probably talk, and she gotta clear up loose ends. You can't play with people like that. We did see Rosalind, but basically just to say they both gonna get revenge. And I don't know if Rosalind even really cared, but a part of me feels like she wanna act like she don't care that dude's gone, but she really does, and she probably gonna try to get the person too. But I do want to see the link up between Rosalind and Alicia. I do want to see that come together and see what that looks like. But then, when Alicia, she do get home at one point, I have to say, when she finally gets home, and at the very end of the episode, we see her finally break down for real, because you could tell that she's cried, but she hasn't cry like that so deep down from your diaphragm, deep in your goddamn big toe, coming all up so deep in your soul, wrenching cry. And she finally did that at the end of the episode when she just slid down that wall. I felt so bad. Damn. But I really felt bad for Tiffany also this episode, because we got two sides of how people deal with grief. There are many ways that people deal with grief, but we're given two different versions of how grief is being dealt with the loved one being gone. Alicia, that's her son. She's so in the street and all that stuff. She just want to exact revenge right away. Thinking that that's going to make her better, feel better, is not, but it's, you just got to do something. Meanwhile, Tiffany finds out because Alicia does tell her, and her whole thing is she's just depressed as shit. And it's understandable. She's depressed. She's sad. She's in the bed. Can't really move. Can't eat. Mama up in there looking at coolie high. Her mama come up in there like, girl, don't look at that shit. Okay, mind you, it's right at the part where old boy got killed. Joe Jackson got killed. Y'all know he played Joe Jackson in American Dreams, Jackson family. Yeah. So he got killed. And she was like, don't be looking at that. And I just love the fact, because I don't think that Tiffany and her mama had that great of a relationship, but it got better throughout the years. And to see that her mother was just being there for her, not questioning her, respecting her relationship, respecting her feelings and everything, and just being very much understanding to the fact that she just lost something that probably was the love of her life, And she also was talking to Keisha. Keisha was up there because her and Keisha are really good friends. And, she was trying to, help her out, see if she needed anything. And what she needed was for them to take their son, Emmett and her son, right? And so Keisha said, yeah, we'll take him. And she was like, not just for a couple of days, but for a minute, because I can't do anything. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't keep food down. I just don't feel right. And all of this is going on. And as soon as she said that, I said in my mind, it could be because she's grieving. But no, I feel like this lady might be pregnant. Bitch, at the end of the episode, she was pregnant. That has got to be the worst feeling, and I don't wish that on anybody. For somebody, oh my God. Because if that would have happened to me, it's one thing to lose a loved one, but to lose your spouse and to find out that you're pregnant before you can even tell your spouse or your partner, or to be expecting and both y'all be ready for it, and then something happened to one of y'all. Oh my God. I felt even more bad. But at least now you got a part of him that's going to live on, that's going to be a reminder in him, whatever, that could probably bring you joy. And you could teach him or her about their father, and all of that. That probably can bring her some type of comfort. But then again, it could be a constant reminder that the daddy ain't there. So who knows how that's going to be. But Keisha went on ahead and said, yeah, no problem about it. Emmett to be all right because he ain't never had his kids, living in the house with him like that. All his, he never had them full time like that. So it's going to be an adjustment. And when it comes to Emmett and Keisha, because also Keisha pregnant. We forgot that too. Keisha pregnant by Emmett. Tiffany pregnant by Rob. Rob is gone. Emmett had the nerves to get in his feelings. Now, I understand where he's coming from a little bit. At least talk to me. You know what I'm saying? You want me to talk to you before I do stuff. Like when I went and got Keisha the car. But you mean to tell me you couldn't talk to me before telling and offering to have my son come over for a long period of stay? And I said, you know what? I get where you're trying to go with this. You're trying to go along these lines of we need to communicate. We can't just be making decisions on our own. We have to talk this out first. But at the same time, given the situation and given the fact that this is your son, you should have said, hell yeah, it shouldn't have been no problem regardless. I don't think it's the same. I don't think now that I'm seeking it out, I don't think the getting Keisha the car is the same as, going ahead and taking care of your own son. It's not like she decided to take care of Keisha's son, or I should say Tiffany's son, and the son ain't by her. The kids ain't by him, I should say. It's not his kids or whatever. It's just some other nigga that she fucking around with or had before. No, this is your child. You should be okay with him and want him to come into your home. And giving an excuse of, well, you're pregnant and you stressed, you don't want to be stressed out and that's going to be a whole lot. Yeah, she's pregnant. She also got another son on her. Okay. And therefore, that's what would happen. If y'all in a relationship, y'all get married or whatever, or if y'all decide to stay together, y'all eventually probably going to have another kid. So, that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. You can't put the kids off here and there just because a person is pregnant or whatever. Those are your kids. Take care of it. Be a fucking man. Step the fuck up to the plate and take care of your kid full time. That's what you should have been doing in the first damn place, okay? If you didn't feel like you can do that, you should have been wrapping that shit up, okay? That's just all that it is, I do say this. I do like the maturity of the relationship between Nuck and Emmett. I'm glad that we are not getting these men going back and forth. I don't want this nigga around my son. I don't want this or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. We are getting too much of the ego. We did get that at first, slightly because of the whole situation with Nuck and Keisha. And it's a reminder that they did have a relationship, but we knew that Nuck actually did care about Keisha. And he would never do anything to hurt Keisha. And I do love the fact that he stepped up to the plate once he found out that little Ronnie was his son, And the fact that Emmett finally come around and let this man be around, and Nuck invited him to come to the conservatory with him, and they just having a good time with the boy. These are good male influences. I mean, technically speaking, when I say good male influence, meaning that they're being on their best behavior and showing how mature adults should act around children who, sharing the kid with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? They're actually being grown-ups, being civil. And I like that. And even when it comes to the point where it's talking about how they want their kids not to be upset with them, don't turn out like them, be better than them. And Emmy said you gotta tell them the truth about what you do. And it was like, what if I don't want him to know all that? It was like, well, you got to be real. You got to make the change yourself. You know what I'm saying? That was some real shit that they was going through. And I wish if people were mature enough like that, you ain't got to be best buds. Y'all ain't got to be going out on daddy dates, stepdaddy daddy dates and all that stuff with the kids and all that. You ain't got to be doing all that, but at least have this air of maturity where it's civil. And then we wouldn't be having baby mamas and baby daddies going against each other on social media and all that stuff. Things would be a lot more cooler. a lot more cool, a lot more calmer, you know. I do like that. What else went down in this episode? So I guess, yeah, Nina gone. I forget. I was about to say Nina gone. She went on a road trip or whatever with the brat. That's what happened with her character. We didn't see Papa this episode, nor Lene. We didn't see who else? We did see Emmett and his brother and his daddy and the mom. I did like the little prayer circle that they did for Tiffany. It's just the women in her life just coming together and just being there for her. I did appreciate that. What else went down in this episode? The pastor. Okay, Rotimi, he's still there, you know. But now they got to figure out this whole situation and what's going to happen with working with Nuck. And so they had to meet up. Nuck was like, listen, I don't know how you did it with Doodah, but baby, we ain't doing all that over here, okay? And you know, they put in a little arrangement. He was like, each time you need my little session, meaning you need work with me or whatever, it's going to be $2,000 each time. Nuck was like, $2,000? Man, all right, okay? But that's that. They brought up his marriage, and I'm talking about the pastor, his marriage for some reason. And I'm like, you know, he told, oh boy, you know, mind the business that pay you. And he said, you are the business that paid me. So what's going on? You know, the wife is a little hoe. Like, I did not like that storyline last season at all. Where everything that's been going on lately, like, no, that was very much nasty. That was very much predatory, sex, statutory rape, all of that stuff, because he was underage. He was underage, okay? Jacob was underage and you fucking around with this young boy. That's disgusting. All right? I don't give a fuck if he was 18, 17. You a grown-ass woman. You a grown-ass woman. That just was not right at all. We ain't see Gemma. Is Gemma coming back this season? What else is going on? Is Bakari's sister coming back, or did he cut her off? I can't remember what happened with them two at the end. I'm gonna have to go back and I'm gonna have to look. What else went on in this episode? Also, Victor and Fatima break up with her. I'm sorry, like, Fatima, girl, I've been on your side for a minute, but you have been nagging and dragging it, okay? After finding out that dude I dad, all of a sudden you want to leave the city. You want Victor to just up and leave and everything. And, you know, Victor said, this is my life, okay? She was like, I thought I was your life. And he said, you can't be the only thing in my life. And that basically was the end of them, okay? But that literally was the end of the episode. I feel like that all that went down. I'm hanging in and see how the season go. I'm gonna see how the season go without the main villain, okay, which is Doodah. And we shall see. Hopefully these reviews will come back on time, because you know Power is over with. So that's a good thing, because it used to be stressing me out when I used to have to do Power and The Shy at the same time. Okay. But yeah. You guys tell me how y'all feel, and I hope your week has started off really well. So, you know, enjoy it, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.